Doug Weiler with Police Magazine. I'm here with a very, very good friend of mine here at ILEETA 2019 in St. Louis, Missouri. Steve Fish. I don't think I've called you Steve since the first day we met.
No, in fact, it was in 2008, I think, was the first time I met you.
Yeah, a long time ago. Brother, you talk a lot about the importance of, of leadership, and how we can better influence even people at the very lowest rank,
Right.
Whatever your insignia happens to be, or how many stripes you have on your sleeve.
Sure.
Everyone has the opportunity to be a police leader. Talk a little about some of the things that you do in instructing that.
Oh, it's, it goes back to even years when I did construction, because I did construction before I even became a cop.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a foreman, and you lead by example.
Right.
So when I was a copper doing this, the road, hitting the hitches and stuff like that, I was very active, proactive. And I took that into my leadership role on the street. As a supervisor and as a road sergeant, I think you get more out of your people if they see you're out there working and not, kind of looking after them or trying to find their flaws or whatever, but in supporting that, and that carries on. And that I believe that's true in everything we do. And even from the chiefs on down, if you are proactive and you take an important role as a leader, it's contagious, and I think that builds morale too.
Right. Yes, absolutely builds morale, because what you're doing is you're participating in the job that all of your officers are doing.
Absolutely.
You are an active and enthusiastic participant in the in patrol and in law enforcement and taking on the challenges of the community and not laying back. And there's all of these things about the leader's always up front. No, maybe the leader might be behind. Might be the last person in the line of wolves to make sure that no one's getting left behind.
I mean, everybo's had the door holder, so to speak. The door holder, the guy that arrives there first or whatever, and then he holds the door for everybody to come in, and he's just in the backlight of everything. And I think if you get those guys involved and you support that, and you get those guys will have a tendency to step up, and they'll really impress you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've found that out with my guys. If it's a confidence thing, also, if I get out there and I'm leading and I'm show them that I'm a part of them instead of trying to be there to oversee everything, you have to get critical sometimes. But I think that backfires on you. I think to get involved with your guys or your team players, I think it's contagious, and guys they respond more to it, and it's a confidence thing, and they don't second guess themselves, because as well as I do, we start second guessing ourselves on the street. That could be deadly, and we don't want that,
Right.
So
Right.
I really enjoy that.
Yeah, and one of the things that I learned from you a number of years ago is that, and I kind of drove at this earlier, that leaders they can be found anywhere. You're a sergeant, right?
Right.
You're on the SWAT team. You've held positions of authority, as an instructor, at Racine PD. But there are also these guys out there, and you know who they are. That you can just tell right away.
Oh yeah.
They're a leader, but they do it in such a without the quote authority figure type of leadership.
They're the quiet ones.
Exactly. They're the ones who do the right things for the right reasons at the right times and set the example. You talk about leadership by example, but you also have followership by example. And you have team players who are truly team players and really want to make the department and everyone on the shift better.
And it's funny you say that, because you find these guys, and I've noticed that, and I'll approach them. And as a trainer and as a leader, I mean, you come to ILEETA, you see some of the best, and it's the most incredible thing in the world. But you see them on your team also, and then I'll go up to these guys and approach them and say, hey, you need to be a presenter, you need to be an instructor, because they have it, but they don't have that person pushing them in the right direction. I've done that on my department, and we get some of the greatest trainers. I mean, these guys just come out, and they just surprise you, and it's a great thing, because we got to pass the torch on.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to get the younger guys involved.
And we met through an article that you wrote, and I've found so many great writers who didn't know they had the writing thing in them. But they had the thoughts, they had the ideas, they had something to say, they have a voice. And like you said, you just have to draw them out a little bit and say, hey, you give them the confidence, give them the opportunity, give them the kind of the kick in the behind to say, you can do this. I know you can do this. I trust you to do this.
I've got mentors that did that to me. I mean, they came up to me and said, Fish, you got to get out there and do this. You'd be really good at it. And I really enjoy it. When you do something and you teach somebody a little tactic that they come up to you and say, hey, Fish, you know what you taught me the other day? He said, I actually used it, I was able to utilize that on the street, and I think it did a lot of good. And that makes everything worthwhile. It makes everything that we do out there and everything that you learn here and you take it back and you pass it on. This is not reinventing the wheel. Everybody learns from everybody here, and that's one of the best parts. I learn more gleaning off of guys in just chopping sessions, and just hanging out and stuff. Yeah. So it's a good time. But I mean, it goes back to that article I wrote. I mean, that in itself kind of was the start of something good for me, because prior to that was a lost cause.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was a tough 5 years for me.
Yeah. Steve Fish, pardon me.
Yeah.
I want to thank you very much for everything you do for our coppers out there. Thank you very much for your time today.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Doug Weiler, Police Magazine.